Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 Innovations and Solutions for Ending Unsheltered Homelessness Conference. Please welcome to the stage the Alliance's Malik Rivers to provide today's land acknowledgement.
Can you all hear me? Okay, all right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Malik Rivers, and it is a great honor to welcome you all to the 2025 Innovations and Solutions for Ending Unsheltered Homelessness Conference. Let's go, let's get some energy in the room. All right. So, with deep respect and humility, we acknowledge that the land we now call Los Angeles is the unceded homeland of the Tongva, Chumash, and Tataviam peoples. For thousands of years, these indigenous communities have lived in harmony with the rivers, mountains, and coastline, tending to the land with care, knowledge, and gratitude. This place was never barren, never empty, and it has always been full of life, of memory, of belonging. Today, the echoes of that displacement remain. Los Angeles, the city of dreams, also bears the weight of a deep and painful paradox. It is home to the largest population of people experiencing homelessness. Among them, urban indigenous people, including descendants of the Tongva, are disproportionately impacted. The theft of land did not end centuries ago. It continues in every eviction and every policy that criminalizes poverty, and every person who is forced to live without shelter on the streets of their own ancestral land. The Tongva, Chumash, and Tataviam people are still here. Their stories, their strength, their rightful claim to this land endure. And so, as we walk these streets, as we build and dream, may we remember whose land we stand upon, and may we work to ensure that no one is ever displaced again. As part of our commitment to this work, the Alliance has donated to the Tongva Taraksak Paka Conservancy, and this is the first land trust in Los Angeles County that is led by the Tongva people and dedicated to returning land to indigenous stewardship. Thank you, and now join me in welcoming Connor Johnson, Saba Mawine Chang, Deanna Zuniga, as they take us through a wellness exercise.
Piali Nanotoka Diana. Hi everyone, my name is Diana. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am indigenous to the southwest region of Turtle Island and also to the center of Mexico, Anahuac. I'm here to work with you all today and really remember the elements that are connected to all of us. And so you'll see there's a sacred space here that has the water, agua, alt, the earth, tierra, tlali, the fire, tlet, fuego, and the air, ejecat, viento. And so I'm here to remind us that these elements are always a part of us. We're going to remember the elements today, and we're also going to remember them in our past, present, and future. Our childlike self might come up because we're going to take some pauses and we're going to take some breaths. So if your little child self comes up and gets a little curious or wants to move around and play, feel free to let yourself do that. Thank you for working with the elements with me today. So if you feel ready, feel free to place your feet on the ground. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes or gaze at something in the room. A color that's calling you, a texture, anything that's calling you. We're going to take 3 breaths together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. And as you continue to breathe and ground your feet onto the earth, allow your eyes to relax a little. I want you to remember water from your past, from the beautiful womb that you came through. I want you to breathe and remember air from your past, the first breath that you took. I want you to breathe and remember earth, the first walk that you took on grass. I want you to breathe and remember fire, the first time you saw it contained on a stove or on a campfire. Keep breathing and remember those elements in the present. The air, the breath that you're taking in this moment. The earth, the floor that you're touching with your feet. Your skin that is earth. I want you to remember the fire within you. The ideas that you have in that beautiful brain of yours. The passion that you have at the center of your being to keep you doing the work that you do. And finally, I want you to remember the water that is right now inside of you, moving through your body, cleansing your body from whatever it no longer needs to be present in this moment. Keep breathing. And now let's honor the elements of our future. Let's honor clear and clean waters and air with our breath. Let's honor contained fires that let us move through what needs to be moved in safety and care. And finally, let's honor together the earth, that it can continue to create and transmute and share its beautiful medicine with us. As you remember and honor all the elements, I ask you to thank them. And let's just take 3 breaths together to move through that. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Slowly move your fingers and your toes, and as you open your eyes, or if they're already open, look at a color, a texture that can bring you back to this space. Mati, gracias, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Deanna, for the medicine you've offered us today for our personal and collective healing as we begin together today at this National Alliance to End Homelessness Conference in sacred practice to serve community. And I invite you to observe how you feel in your body in this moment. My name is Sabamuine Chang, she, hers.
And I am Connor Johnson, he, him.
And we are Grounded in Love, a healing collective.
Over the next 3 days, we are going to invite in moments of wellness, healing. We'll be on the plenary stage the next 2 days, offering an opportunity to connect with our breath, connect with our bodies, to be embodied. We also invite you into the Beverly Room over the next 2 days for wellness breakout sessions. We'll have yoga, movement, breath work, meditation, and sound healing. All of that is in the app. In the WOVA app, you can learn more about Grounded in Love, what we're trying to do to bring in more personal wellness to spaces like this, and to our communities, and to the work we do. We invite you to take care of yourself over the next 2 days. Take moments of pause, of wellness, of your own, whatever you need in that moment. We'll see you here on the stage the next 2 days, and we'll see you in the Beverly Room. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for those moments of wellness. Please welcome to the stage Alex Visotsky, Senior California Policy Fellow.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Visotsky. I'm the Alliance's California Policy Fellow. Los Angeles is my home, so it's my pleasure to welcome you here. How many of you are in LA for the first time? Okay, a lot of you. Great. If you're new to LA, one of the big critiques you hear about it is that Los Angeles is not a real city, that it's just a collection of neighborhoods. Have any of you ever heard that before? Yeah. When people say this, I think they're telling on themselves a little bit that they don't understand LA. Because being a collection of neighborhoods is part of what makes LA so great. It's also one of the reasons that I think LA is a great mirror to the rest of the country. Right? Don't get me wrong. Los Angeles reflects a lot of the ugliness of our country's past and present. This is a city shaped by racist redlining. Just a mile east of this hotel in Little Tokyo, there's a plaza where Japanese Americans were loaded onto buses and sent off to internment camps in the 1940s. Today, LA is the wage theft capital of the country with an economy that too often takes advantage of the many undocumented folks living in this city. All of that is here, right? So when the fires came in January and brought devastation to neighborhoods like Altadena and Pacific Palisades, it didn't come as a big surprise when we saw landlords rent gouging. It didn't come as a big surprise when we saw opportunistic folks taking it as a chance to grandstand and point fingers, scoring political points even while the fires were still burning. That's Los Angeles, right? That's America. But that's not all there is to Los Angeles. This is a city filled with people from around the world who've brought a part of their culture and shared it with Los Angeles, adding to this mosaic. This is a city of people and communities that are scratching and clawing to build a better future, not just for their kids, but for their neighbors, whether those neighbors look like them or not. Here in LA, faced with a crushing housing crisis, it was neighborhood housing organizations and neighborhood service providers and labor unions who joined hands in 2022 to pass a tax on mansions that's now raising hundreds of millions of dollars for affordable housing. Just this past November, despite the cynicism of voters up and down our state, people across Los Angeles voted to affirm their commitments to their neighbors when they resoundingly passed a permanent billion-dollar sales tax for homelessness and housing. Yes, billion with a B. So when the fires came in January and consumed thousands of people's homes and small businesses, it didn't come as a surprise when tens of thousands of Angelenos raised their hands and asked, "What can I do to help?" Smoke and ash filled the air, but people were taking in their neighbors. They were volunteering to sort donations. They were delivering meals and diapers and baby clothes to people that had lost everything. They were opening their wallets to respond to each and every GoFundMe. They were, in short, good neighbors. That's the Los Angeles I've come to know and love, a city where neighbors look out for each other and take care of each other. That's the Los Angeles that gives me faith that we can and we will end homelessness, not just here, but around the country. So I hope that while you're here, you get out of the hotel, you don't just go to the Walk of Fame, but that you get out into LA's mosaic of neighborhoods, each of which has its own story. I hope you take the time to feel and taste and be in a community where neighbors are fighting like hell for their neighbors, and you go back to your community and you talk about that Los Angeles. And hey, in the process, you might just have the best taco of your life, just saying. So thank you so much, and welcome to LA. So I now have the privilege of passing the baton to our fearless leader. Please welcome to the stage the CEO of the National Alliance to End Homelessness, Ann Oliva.
Hi, everybody. Actually see, so we'll wing this a little bit, but good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. And I need to hear that back from you. Good afternoon. Thank you, I appreciate that. It is lovely to see all of you here in Los Angeles for the Alliance's 2025 Innovations and Solutions to End Unsheltered Homelessness Conference. We are incredibly grateful to be in community with all of you this week. Whew. Thanks so much, first and foremost, to the Alliance's very own stars, Malik Rivers, first time on the plenary stage for Malik. And to Alex Vysotsky for the land acknowledgement and the welcome to Los Angeles. And a special thanks to Diana, Connor, and Saba, who, as they mentioned, will be with us for each plenary to remind us to practice self-care while we're here together this week. And so we know, the Alliance team knows, that being here this week is a choice. One that's taking you away from the work that's sitting on your desk and away from your support networks at home. We know also that there's a lot going on in the world and probably within your organizations. And that your brain might be in 3 different places at once, and we get it. We want to thank you for being here, for showing up, and for joining us this week in the very best way that you can. For so many of us, 2025 has proven to be challenging in both personal and professional ways. In just the first 2 months of this year, we've seen communities hit by natural disasters like the wildfires here in Los Angeles and the flooding in Kentucky. We've been thrown into a state of uncertainty as a result of the actions and directives from our federal government, targeting people in our community and leaving doubt about the future of federal resources that our communities rely on. And if you're like me, these last few weeks have me filled with concern for the dedicated career staff in federal agencies who in many cases are our partners in this work, but who also might be our friends and our family members. Same goes for the technical assistance providers that have supported our communities over the last many, many years. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming. So, the Alliance's team has worked incredibly hard, knowing all of this, to cultivate an agenda that we hope will leave you inspired, give you moments of joy, create opportunities for togetherness, and that will leave you ready to go back to your community with positive energy. That's what we're looking for this week. That's why being here in this moment as a community is so important. I hope that while we're here together, you feel seen and supported, even while we're working hard and learning from each other. So let's get into it. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers from across the country to share their wisdom and expertise over the next few days with great plenary speakers that include Assemblyman Isaac Bryan and Senator Sasha Renee Perez, who will talk about the impacts. I feel like I have to pull these closer to my face because it's hard to see my notes. Sorry about that, everybody. So the members of the legislature will be talking about the wildfires and how that's impacting homelessness here in Los Angeles. We also have a fantastic panel of practitioners and researchers talking about making progress on unsheltered homelessness in their communities, moderated by Seiran Fu of the Hilton Foundation. We have journalist Kevin Fagan, whose new book that I just finished and was incredibly moved by. It's called The Lost and the Found, chronicles the lives of two people experiencing homelessness in San Francisco, as well as his own personal journey that included being without housing as a young person. And we have Giselle Burgess, who is the creator of Troop 6000. I have my glasses, it's the light, but thank you though. I love my team, aren't my team lovely? Giselle Burgess, the creator of Troop 6000, which is a Girl Scout troop aimed at supporting girls living in shelter in New York City. She's going to close us out at the end of the week. And then, as always, we have several of the outstanding Alliance staff speaking here on this stage or in sessions over the course of the next 3 days. So, if you have heard me speak before, you know that I always start with a roll call because I like to know who's in the room and I like you all to know who's in the room. So if you feel comfortable, of course, only if you feel comfortable, raise your hand in response to the questions that I'm asking if they apply to you, and you're probably going to be in more than one category. And while this is happening, I encourage you to look around the room and see just how many people in this room are in your shoes too, because there's a lot of us in this together. So I was going to start with an easy one, which is how many folks are here in LA for the first time, but Alex already did that. So I'm going to say, I am a girl from Philadelphia. How many of you were happy the Eagles won the Super Bowl? Okay, let's be serious for a moment. Not that the Eagles aren't serious, whatever, but let's be serious for a moment. And let's start with this. Who is at an in-person Alliance conference for the very first time? Whoa. How many folks in this room have lived experience of homelessness, housing instability, or the systems that are related to homelessness? Awesome. How many of you are frontline staff? Where's our continuum of care or other systems leadership? Tribal members, tribal leadership? Not enough, not enough. We still got to work on that. Technical assistance providers or funders. National organizations or government staff. Any housers in the room? Housers? Yeah, another place we need to get some work. Thank you, housers. Okay, so here's my favorite question, the one that I always end with. For those of you who are here for the first time, the many of you who are here for the first time who raised your hand, take a good look around for this one, because these are the folks that are going to be a good resource for you. How many of you have been doing this work for at least 5 years? Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. How many of you have been doing this work for at least 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? So you can see why I love doing the roll call, right? I love doing it because it shows us in an incredibly tangible way, not just who is in the room, but also the collective power and energy in the room. And although I might be the one that gets to be on this stage, this conference is not about me or the Alliance or any individual person among us today. This work and our ability to be resilient in challenging times is about us. It is about we, how we come together, how we as a field can use our experience and our muscle to move the needle. Like how more than 11,000 of us came together just a few weeks ago to push back on a federal funding freeze that would have hurt a lot of people. Yesterday, a judge granted a preliminary injunction to prevent a unilateral funding freeze by the federal government, a win directly related to your actions. So thank you. So when I think about us, about we, I tend to think about the values that we share that guide us and bring us together. The Alliance's recent strategic plan includes principles that you might see on our branding and on the conference swag that you got at registration. Be assured that we designed each of the items in your bag to represent the principles that we stand by at the Alliance and that are central to everything that we do. This stuff isn't just so you can have new stickers on your notebook or a new water bottle. If the last month hasn't proven to all of us that the principles we stand by are real, that they mean something, I'm not sure what could. I want to take a minute to tell you about the principles which feel more relevant now than ever. First, we will do everything that we can to inspire faith that ending homelessness is indeed possible, because we know it is. You know it is, or you wouldn't be here. We'll lead our work with love, equity, and respect for the people who are or have experienced homelessness in all that we do. That includes real partnerships with people who have lived experience of homelessness, not token partnerships. At every opportunity, we will bring people home. We'll fight for the resources and practices that allow the frontline staff and community leaders to get as many folks into housing and services as you can. These principles aren't just about the Alliance's work. They represent the work that we do together as a community to not only defend against harm, but to pursue a world where everyone has a safe place to live and the services that they need to achieve their goals. These principles of faith, love, home are also what has helped us navigate the environment of the last year. From the aftermath of the Supreme Court ruling on homelessness to the disruptive and harmful actions from the administration over the last 5 weeks that include delays in funding, a rollback of protections for our LGBTQ community members, and attacks on important and impactful racial equity initiatives, we are facing challenges. Every community, every person in this room has been impacted in some way. And together, we must take collective action to stand up for us. There is great power in both us and we. The Alliance is committed to being that we, to be at the national level, the partner that has your back. Our commitment, oh, thank you. I'll take it. To be clear, our commitment is not wavering in this moment or in the future. We will continue to partner, to be a great partner, to be an advocate, to be an ally for homeless services providers and people experiencing homelessness all across the country. And lately, I've been thinking a lot about leadership and resilience. I'm always seeking counsel or examples from others to learn from on this front. I hope you all are too. And one example I want to share with you today is about President Jimmy Carter, who you all know recently passed away. I'm pretty old, so I remember when he was president. Probably a lot of you don't remember his presidency. But what President Carter is remembered most for is not what he accomplished in office, but instead the values that he consistently led with. And in fact, his greatest accomplishments came after his presidency. He went on to win the Nobel Peace Prize, help support democracy all over the world, and eradicate disease. The weekend of his funeral, I spent some time watching what people said about him in their eulogies. On the screen, we're going to see a quote from his grandson's remarks at his funeral in Washington, D.C., and I think it's important to pay attention to the nuance. He said of his grandfather, "His life was about love for his fellow humans and about living out the commandment of love your neighbor as yourself." I believe that love is what taught him and told him to preach the power of human rights, not just for some people, but for all people. It focused him on the power and the promise of democracy. It's a love for freedom. It's required and founding belief in the wisdom of regular people raising their voices, and the requirement that you respect all of those voices, not just some. And for the last 40 years, he spent his time living out that love and that faith alongside the poorest and most marginalized people in the world. And that work, again, has been based fundamentally on love and respect. Here's the part I really need this audience to hear. And he never saw his work as a place to send pity. It was always a place to find partnership and power, and a place to carry out that commandment to love your neighbor as yourself. Essentially, he eradicated a disease with love and respect. He waged peace with love and respect. He led this nation with love and respect. The words that Jimmy Carter's grandson used in that eulogy were not by accident. Love, respect, partnership, power. Love, respect, partnership, power. We can do the same in the face of challenging circumstances. Doing this will require us to sharpen our skills and find ways to bring people along to demonstrate that we are experts, that we know how to do this work. This combination of love, respect, partnership, power, along with skill and leadership is how we'll end homelessness, and we'll do it together. The landscape of our work is undoubtedly changing. It's changed in the past 6 months, the past 6 weeks, even the past 6 days, maybe even for some of us, the past 6 hours. We are up against a new federal vision that we know will cause harm to people who have been marginalized and who suffer from homelessness disproportionately. Black and Indigenous people and people of color, LGBTQ people, people with disabilities. It will harm new arrivals to this country looking for a better life. The work of ending homelessness is being politicized in ways that it has not been before, and it will likely get worse before it gets better. And the environment, including our ability to access affordable housing, the weakening social safety net, and the severe gaps in healthcare and services, is arguably harder now than it has been for decades. As a result, we're seeing more and more people becoming homeless every week in numbers that far exceed the resources that are available. I don't need to tell you all that. You see it every day. So let's use our power and our perspective in this moment to advocate for the very things that make ending homelessness possible. People who don't do this work every day only see that homelessness is going up, and some of them are losing faith that ending homelessness is indeed possible, and it is up to us to prove them wrong. The fact that veteran homelessness continues to decline because effective and equitable policies and resources are paired together show it's possible. You all, every single one of you in this room, are ending homelessness for individuals and families in your community every day, all across the country. That is the proof. We have to use our collective power to make our case for housing justice, to secure the resources we need, to fight for policies that treat all of our neighbors like human beings. And I know, I'm standing up here because I know that we can do it. We're at a defining moment for our field, a moment that requires us to come together for a common purpose. I know that in this room and watching on live stream, there are people from all walks of life with a broad range of perspectives and experiences. And while we may not all agree on everything all the time, take another moment right now to look around this room. There are more than 1,200 of us and thousands more across the country. We are all here because of our commitment to ending homelessness and to the people that we serve. We must come together. Do it. We must come together to fight for the resources to get folks back into housing. We must come together to use our collective voice to push for real solutions at the local, state, and national levels. And these are the moments that will define us. So I want to take a couple minutes to talk about the Alliance's strategic priorities, the how of this work that I just said is going to define us. Our strategic plan includes 4 focus areas and covers all aspects of the Alliance's work. First, we will embed lived experience and equity throughout all of our internal and external facing initiatives because we know that if we don't, marginalized people will suffer even greater disproportionality than they do today. Second, the Alliance is intentionally focusing on our organizational culture and capacity so that the initiatives we implement are sustainable over time. Third, the Alliance is the Alliance's bread and butter. It's the thing that you know most about us, policy, practice, and research. This means that we are pursuing a bold, evidence-based policy and legislative agenda to get the resources and support you need to serve people experiencing homelessness in your community. And the fourth area is community and movement building, which for us means leveraging our conferences and strategic communications and expanding our direct work with states to bring more people into our tent. By aligning our work with our core principles, we can accomplish some really amazing goals. We can get folks on our side who might be on the fence about what to support in their communities. The more informed people we have with us, the better chance we have of making the progress that we need. We can pass legislation and budgets at the state, maybe at the national level, but certainly at the state level, that can support evidence-based policy and help us move the needle and measurably decrease unsheltered homelessness. We can learn from and align with other movements and build more cross-sector partnerships, and we can equip communities with the tools they need to implement evidence-based approaches that treat people with dignity and equitable practices that ensure everyone has a place that they call home. And that is what keeps me in this work, the faith that our world of today does not need to be our world of tomorrow. And we won't let anything stand in our way of doing the right things for the people that we serve. Even in these times, the entire team at the Alliance strives to look for joy. How many of you have heard of a glimmer? Do you know what a glimmer is? A glimmer is the opposite of a trigger. It's moments that create joy and hope. There's a lot of triggers out there for many of us right now, and glimmers are an active and intentional way of countering them. How many of you get the weekly field emails that we've been doing recently? All right, there's some of you that didn't raise your hand. You should sign up for them. Marcy will tell you about that. In one of the recent ones, I shared that at the Alliance, we have taken to talking about glimmers in our meetings to remind ourselves of all of the good that's happening out there. So I'm going to share with you now some of the glimmers that we've taken note of over the past few weeks and months. And since we're here in LA, I'm going to start there. In 2024, for the first time in 6 years, the Los Angeles Continuum of Care reported a decline of 5% in unsheltered homelessness countywide. That included a 10.5% decline in the city of LA. And in Los Angeles, as Alex mentioned a minute ago, labor unions teamed up with the homeless service providers to push forward a measure to provide $1 billion annually for homeless services and affordable housing in perpetuity, and the voters responded. It passed. In Texas, Dallas and Collin counties reported a 19% decrease in homelessness and a 24% decrease in unsheltered homelessness. You got Texas folks here? Raleigh, North Carolina, closed an encampment in January by housing everyone in that encampment through their new basic income program. Nicely done, Raleigh. Advocates in Tennessee created a statewide housing and homelessness coalition called Housing for All Tennessee and had their first statewide Capitol Hill Day. Connecticut launched the state's first Ending Homelessness caucus. Voters across the country collectively authorized more than $640 million in bonds for affordable housing and shelter. And I took out my phone flashlight for this one because it's just in notes. In a late-breaking glimmer that I wrote on the side of my paper here, in Nebraska, advocates beat back an effort this week, just this week, to defund the State Homeless Services Assistance Trust Fund. Go, Nebraska. These glimmers are really important. They represent progress in the face of challenges and can spark joy when you need it most. After the Grants Pass ruling last year, I had a conversation with a colleague about how to win in spite of setbacks. And where we landed was that we all have an important role to play. We have to fight back against the rhetoric that has convinced some people in our country that taking a punitive approach to homelessness is compassionate. I'm not sure about you, but I know that I can't name a time in history when taking that approach, arresting people or relegating people to camps, made the lives of people subject to those policies better or actually solved any problems in a community. It sure as hell isn't making the lives of people in Grants Pass any better. People from that community who are living unsheltered are now behind barbed wire fences and subject to increasing fines, tickets, and arrests with no real solutions. In another community, people living unsheltered have been relegated to what used to be a dog park. And not only are those practices harmful to the people who are impacted, they also do nothing to solve homelessness. So we have to shift the story and the politics. That takes intention and time and resources and partners, including people closest to the problem. But the most critical part of making that shift is proving that getting folks into housing is how to actually make a positive impact that meets everyone's goals, from people experiencing homelessness to housed people to business leaders and elected officials. We all have a role to play in educating elected leaders and engaging partners across the community so they can see themselves in our plans too. If we want to get back to a shared aspiration of ensuring that everyone in our communities has access to safe and affordable housing, we need to work together. We all know this work is really hard and that it might get harder. It can be easy to give in to the anger or to lose hope. But I am asking you to channel that energy differently. I'm asking you to join us by leaning into the values plastered all over your conference materials. Intentionally inspire faith within your community that homelessness is solvable. Intentionally lead with love, equity, and respect. And intentionally bring people home by following best practices and trying new things when you need to. Be intentional. For those of you who raised your hands when I asked if you've been doing this work for 10 or 20 or even 30 years, you know that at one time, not that long ago, that we as a nation had faith that with the right policy, resources, and leadership, that we could accomplish the goal of ending homelessness. How do we get back to that? And I think leadership is the answer. Everyone in this room is a leader in their own way. Leadership is much more than your title or position. We must all lead in this moment and use what knowledge we have to bring people along and lead them in the right direction. And here is my 2 cents for what we need from leaders in this moment. Be clear about the values that drive you in this work. Channel a leader that inspires you, whether it's Jimmy Carter or Ketanji Brown Jackson or Nelson Mandela or Malala, or if, like me, you occasionally need to watch an episode or 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer to feel it. Now you all know something extra secret about me, right? Center and hire people closest to the problem that we are trying to solve. Yeah. Stay true to the policy and practices that work. Keep supporting programs that work in your communities and maintain fidelity to the evidence-based models that act as the foundation of our ability to get folks into housing. Do this even if the government does not require it. Do this even if the government does not require it. Innovate and try new things to address new or emerging challenges. Educate and communicate with people outside of our circles. By acting as ambassadors for this work with the people in your local communities, including your local leaders and your members of Congress, you can make a huge difference. You are the most important and effective messengers we have, and this is the year we need your voice more than ever. Join our advocacy networks and support local and national efforts to combat policies and laws that criminalize people just for existing in public spaces, and pushed for increased investments by federal and state government in housing that is affordable for all people with extremely low incomes and the services they need. Support our workforce by paying and advocating for a living wage and finding other ways to support their well-being. Learn from, listen to, and support each other. That's what we need from leaders right now. There's no doubt that the road in front of us will get rockier before it gets better. The Alliance's team and I will not always have the right words or all the answers, but we are committed to walking alongside you every step of the way. We'll fight for you, we'll share what we know, and we will always offer community. I hope that this fills you with a sense of unity, that you find glimmers throughout each day, and that you walk away from this conference on Friday with the tools you need to make your own glimmers. And before I have our Vice President for Programs and Policy, Marcy Thompson, take the stage, I just want to say a simple thank you. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you in advance to all of our speakers. Thank you to the amazing, amazing team at the Alliance for putting this really strong agenda together. And I hope you all have a great, great conference.
Okay, I see what she was talking about. All right, so I discovered a new word recently about how I'm feeling these days. Exhauster-whelmulated, which is the feeling of being exhausted, overwhelmed, and overstimulated at the same time. And I have a feeling that I am not the only person in this room that can relate. And yet, despite all that is going on around us, you chose to be here this week, and for that, I am grateful. As the Vice President for Programs and Policy here at the Alliance, I lead and oversee our efforts to influence federal, state, and local policy through advocacy. I believe firmly that advocacy is love in action. It is the greatest expression of empathy, compassion, and community that we have to offer, and it is the most powerful tool that we have at our disposal to create change. Every single person in this room is an advocate, even if you don't know it yet. Every day, you advocate on behalf of your clients to help them get back into housing. You advocate on behalf of your organizations and your staff to get the resources that allow you to continue to do the work, and you advocate on behalf of your loved ones to ensure that they have what they need. So raise your hand if you're already signed up to receive the Alliance's advocacy alerts. Okay, and if you're not, I think there's going to be a URL put up here because you need to do that. But now, thinking about the last 5 weeks or so, raise your hand if you have taken action via our online advocacy portal at least once. Okay, raise your hand if you have also directly called or emailed the offices of your congressional members at least once. Okay, and finally, raise your hand if you have done that direct outreach to their offices every single day. All right, thank you. So it is an understatement that in this moment, there is no shortage of reasons to warrant that outreach to Congress. Last month, when we were on the verge of a federal funding freeze and grantees were unable to access their funds in ELOCs and other accounting systems, more than 11,000 people took action on our online portal alone, the highest number that we have ever seen by far, not to mention everyone who made calls and emails on top of that. But since then, those numbers have significantly leveled off, even though the threats remain. And listen, I get it. I get it. There are a million time-sensitive priorities competing for your attention every single day, and adding one more thing to your list is daunting. But as President Obama told us, change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones that we've been waiting for, and we are the change that we seek. We're not even 2 full months into this administration, and we have already seen a number of actions that threaten to undermine our work to end homelessness in the United States. From arbitrary delays in getting the critical funding you need to do your work, to attempts to repeal the Equal Access Rule, to attacks on the equity work necessary to combat the disparate impact of homelessness, we cannot wait until we are at the edge of the cliff to act, because by then it will be too late. I'm challenging all of us here in this room and those watching in the live stream to commit to making advocacy a part of your daily routine. And it's going to take discipline and consistency from all of us to preserve what we have today so that we can build towards the future of tomorrow. My goal for everyone this week is that when you leave here, you will be motivated and armed with the tools to join us in the fight against the threats we know and to prepare for the fights yet to come. For the threats yet to come, sorry. Here are a few things we have planned to help get you there. The policy team is going to be stationed at the Advocacy Hub, located by registration, where you'll be able to chat with the team, find some helpful resources and tools, and learn about current advocacy efforts, such as the congressional sign-on letter initiated by Representative Scott Peters to the HUD Secretary, urging for the prompt disbursement of FY 2024 COC funds. Yes. You can also get a sticker to show off where you're at on your advocacy journey. There are several sessions this week focused on advocacy and coalition building, and you can meet up with fellow advocates from around the country on Friday for some peer learning roundtables. So let's use this time together to get recharged and to be inspired, so that as a field, we are ready to, as John Lewis said, make some noise and get in some good, necessary trouble together. So I'm going to now hand it over to our President and Chief Operating Officer, Shalom Mulkey, who's going to go over some critical and important information that you will need for the week ahead. Thank you.
brought my glasses. We'll see if this helps. Wow, what a crowd. What an amazing group of glimmers. For all of us at the Alliance, when we start thinking about this conference, one, we know it's some work, but we know that it's for you and with you. And in the last few weeks, as we've been thinking about being in this space together, you all are what has powered us through. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. So as Anne has said, we are gathered at such a critical moment. The landscape around us is shifting, policies, funding, the public discourse is evolving. It's creating so much uncertainty, but also opportunity. But one thing we know amid this upheaval, and that Anne said, and I'm going to reiterate, and you're going to hear this a lot this week, is one certainty remains: our collective strength. The connections we build and the knowledge we share and the support we offer one another this week is what will sustain us. Each of you, every single one of you, brings expertise, commitment, and lived experience to this work. And we know that together, as Anne said, we're not just addressing homelessness. We are strengthening and building a movement rooted in housing, dignity, and justice. That's right. So this conference is a conference that is a space for learning, for dialogue, for meeting each other where we're at and pushing ourselves forward. Because, we don't always agree, but we share the same goal. And that's where we are going to end homelessness, and we are ending homelessness. So, that's right. Thank you. So as we move through this week together, let's commit to showing up for each of us with respect, care, and mindfulness. Let's be mindful of the space we're in, the conversations we're having. Let's be aware of how those discussions and language impact all of us around. And let's create a space where every single person here is feeling welcomed and valued. Because we are stronger when we listen, when we engage, and when we uplift each other. And honestly, when we lean into the hard conversations with honesty and transparency and the support for one another, we can navigate anything. And we can and we will continue to build solutions together. For those of you who've been at an Alliance conference in the past, you will have heard me say up here that the Alliance has a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination, harassment, or abusive behavior. We take that very seriously. We are committed to ensuring a safe and inclusive space. So if you experience or witness anything that makes you feel unsafe, please come find an Alliance staff member. You will know an Alliance staff member because they have metal name badges that we all take off when we come up here, but you'll find us. So, moving on to a few reminders about this week. Your name badges, the ones you're wearing right now, are required throughout the space. Wearing your name badge helps us ensure that conference attendees are in the official spaces, and it keeps it secure and safe for everyone. If you lose your badge, you can go back to registration and they'll reprint one. Additionally, while we put masks in everyone's bags, they are optional, but please respect people's personal choice whether they are wearing them or not. An additional item that you may not be aware of is that we do bring a case manager and have case managers on site. So if you're in a space where you need some additional support or you need some connection to resources in the area, there's a case manager located in the registration area. Again, one of the things that we are just really committed to and hopeful for this space is that we are fostering a place of open dialogue. And to do that, workshops and common spaces are generally a video-free environment. However, I wanted to alert folks that we do have a couple pre-approved video crews that have access to some selected sessions. If you do not wish to be on video, please indicate that to the video crew when you enter that space. Additionally, we have some presenters that may request you not to take pictures of slides. Please respect that. As many of you know, we do try to get all of the presentations that we get from speakers into the Whova app, and you will have access to the ones that we get during the conference and after the conference. I've got a long list today, so just stick with me. All right. Next thing, this is something new that the Alliance is doing this year. We are actually going to be hosting an Alliance Q&A tomorrow night in this room. We know that many of you have questions about the federal landscape, what's changing, what's ahead, what's happened in the last 6 minutes, and what it may mean for our work. We're going to host a Q&A and try to answer as many questions that we can. But I need to be clear, and you know this. We're not going to have every answer, and we'll tell you when we don't have one. What we are committed to doing in that time is sharing the space with you to listen, reflect, and for us to problem solve together. So please do join us tomorrow after all of the sessions in this room. As Anne said, and I've said, and you're going to hear it again and again and again, the connections matter, and making connections matter. We have several opportunities for you to connect this week. We've got our networking reception tonight, and the reason I bring it up is it is not in this room. It has now been moved to the Pasadena Ballroom, which is the bowels of the hotel. So you take the escalator and just keep going down. It's not even on your map, on your agenda. So if you have problems finding it, look for a volunteer or a staff member who can direct you. We hope you will join us during that time. Additionally, we are having, during the same time as the networking reception, the LGBTQIA gathering. That has actually been moved to Emerald Bay on the 3rd floor, and there will be food and drinks available at that gathering as well, so please do join us there. Another opportunity you have this week is we will be having roundtable discussions on Friday, and this is an opportunity for any one of you to share your expertise by signing up to host a roundtable discussion. If you're interested in doing that, please check the Whova app, or if you have any issues with that, stop by registration and they'll help you. I swear I'm almost done. You guys are doing a great job sticking with me. Lastly, we do have some on-site AA meetings. Also, check the Whova app for Friend of Bill if you're interested in those. So, we're going to end where everyone who's gotten on this stage has ended. Ending homelessness is possible, and it's happening. You are making it happen. That is the strength of this community. Our relationships, our collaboration, and our shared commitment. That is what is going to help create a more just and equitable world. So while we're here together for these 3 days, I hope every single one of you will take a time to learn and connect, and that you leave here energized for the work ahead. Because I want to reiterate, the Alliance is here with you. We're here to listen, to learn, and to stand alongside you. So please come find us if there's anything that we can do to be more responsive. So with that, let's move from here and get to that first session and make this an incredibly powerful productive, and supportive week for everyone. Thank you.